fundraising event to honor a labor leader from the Keweenaw's mining past is taking place this weekend. TV6's Houghton Hancock Bureau reporter Colin Jackson tells us about Big Annie and how the funds raised will be used to honor her memory.
The Team Annie Committee is making the final preparations for the upcoming Big Annie Gala fundraiser this weekend. Set at the Calumet Theater, you can enjoy a buffet dinner, silent auction, and live music. It is the first major event toward the committee's ultimate goal.
The event here is to raise funds for the Annie Klobuchar Clements statue to be placed here in Calumet. We have been working on this for about a year and a half.
The committee estimates the statue to cost $150,000. The statue will be within the village limits, but an exact location is still being decided. So far, the event is aiming for success.
It's a sellout. We're real happy about that, and that's not easy to do on a first-time event.
But who was Big Annie? A labor leader during the 1913 and 1914 copper miners' strike. 23-year-old Clements was on the front lines alongside other women to demand better working conditions and pay for the workers.
The workers were very low paid. It was dangerous. So the working conditions were terrible and long hours, 6 days a week.
Behind me is the archway that once belonged to the Italian Hall here in Calumet. In December of 1913, after 5 months of being on strike, Annie organized a holiday party for the strikers' families to raise spirits and morale. Even the children were invited to come and receive presents. Hundreds were gathered on the second floor enjoying the party when tragedy struck. Someone shouted fire, causing everyone to try and exit the hall. There was no fire. In the panic, at least 73 people were killed, most of them children. According to Campbell, the event devastated Clements and haunted her even after leaving the area to move to Chicago several months later.
She didn't speak about her time in Calumet much to her one daughter, and so the story about her activism up here wasn't shared with the family.
Clements' descendants have since learned about her past, and 18 of them will be present at the gala. While dinner tickets are sold out, tickets for the gala's music performance in the theater are still available. Colin Jackson, TV6 News, Calumet. After 65 years, 7-year-old Chester Alfred Breeny may now rest in peace. He was laid to rest in St. Mary's Parish Cemetery in Port Washington, Wisconsin this afternoon. His murder case from 1959 was reopened in October last year. A press conference was held today in Ozaukee County to bring the case to a close.
Because of your relentless drive to bring closure to this case and to give a voice to this young victim are why we stand here today and put a name to this boy's face.
Chester, given the adopted name Marku Jutila, was raised in Houghton County by his adopted parents, William and Hilja. According to officials, he was abused and neglected by his parents. In 1959, during a relocation from Houghton County to Chicago, he was beaten to death by his mother and left in a culvert. Both adopted parents were arrested in 1966 and extradited to trial in Houghton County. Despite a confession from Hilja and the discovery of human remains, the charges were dismissed. This was due to there not being enough evidence that they committed the crime and the failure of the prosecution to connect the skeleton of the child found in Mequon with the defendants. However, DNA and investigative genealogy finally cracked the case.
Because of this new technology, we're exploring new ways to solve some of these old crimes, and that's how I came up doing an inventory of all unidentified remains that we had, and this one just happened to have a crime lab number that we could trace back.
This tracing included reaching out to the Michigan Tech University archives in January. Investigators requested the Houghton County Circuit Court case files for the Jutilas during their trial.
We also then went into our local newspapers, which are all historically on microfilm. We went through those and were able to find different articles that pertained to the case as it was happening.
I also spoke with the Houghton County Sheriff's Office, and it informed me that it was not approached to assist during this investigation. The office was central in the original investigation and collaborated with multiple police departments at the time. However, the office states that it is glad that the case is now solved.
We are happy to see that the case was solved using DNA and genealogy testing, and we're happy that the victim can now rest in peace.
Well, Keweenaw County is packed with visitors this summer. I saw it this weekend. They're desperately needed, these visitors are, because county businesses are still recovering from a mild winter. TV6 Houghton Hancock Bureau reporter Colin Jackson checked in with some businesses to see how things are shaping up for them.
Keweenaw County businesses are working to pick themselves up this summer after a mild winter. County businesses couldn't apply for emergency small business association loans. One resident says this is due to the county's drought season ending before winter started. One business is the Mariner North in Copper Harbor.
It was two levels of frustration for us. Number one, what do you do when your business can't be a business? But then number two, all of our employees, or the big majority of them, live right here in Copper Harbor, and they too were struggling.
Calpe says July and August are the main months of summer business for the area. She says July has been good, but it isn't the same as the past.
We expect that, we would have all of the motel rooms filled every night in July, and that's not exactly been the case, but there certainly have been a lot of people. I know that there are more campsites than ever before.
Calpe says concerts, a car show, and weddings increased the number of visitors. Other areas in Keweenaw County were just as affected, including Eagle Harbor. One business, the Eagle Harbor Inn, came under new ownership in October.
We had to go down to weekends only. We just did not have business to support full-time recreational business at the restaurant, and it really hurt, especially as a brand new business owner.
Marshall thanked residents for support through the winter. She says the summer has put the business back on track.
Like they say, you got to make hay while the sun shines, and it's been shining all summer. We've been super busy and really appreciative of everybody that comes to support us here.
But if this winter is similar to last, Marshall says it would be a hope and a prayer that the business would survive. Colin Jackson, TV6 News, Keweenaw County.
In a TV6 Investigates follow-up, a UP University and a material handling manufacturer have developed a hybrid loader that uses both diesel and electric energy.
The hope was to create a more fuel-efficient industrial motor that can still withstand extreme cold temperatures. We first told you about the loader in January when it was still under development. TV6's Houghton Hancock Bureau reporter Colin Jackson shows us the completed prototype and tells us what work is left to do.
For more than 4 years, Michigan Tech's APS Labs and Berica-based manufacturer Pettibone have been collaborating on constructing an EV diesel hybrid loader. They now have a working prototype to show for it.
A year ago, this would have been a frame and some axles and some wheels, and then we started to install the prototype components, the batteries, the motors, the controllers, the cooling system, and then built it back up into what you see behind me now.
Worm says the prototype has been functional for roughly a month. During this time, the developers have been running it through maneuvering and loading tests. According to Worm, the prototype uses a control system that allows it to optimize performance by transitioning between the two power systems. Worm notes that the project's goal was to achieve a 20% reduction in fuel use, and that goal has been exceeded.
Right now, depending on the mode of operation, we're seeing anywhere between a 35% reduction in fuel consumption up to about a 65% reduction.
Pettibone supplied machines and documentation to the team to make this project possible. Despite its functionality, work still needs to be done before the machine can be marketable.
The biggest challenge that we see right now currently is the infrastructure. It's just not quite where it needs to be, especially with our machines that work in very remote environments. Overnight charging is probably the biggest issue, along with cost.
He says that this work is helping the company get a jump start on the future.
Industry's moving towards it. Our customers are asking for it. We know it's coming.
Westman says that the machine will be going to Pittsburgh in April. A customer, Durabond, will help the team collect further data on the project. Colin Jackson, TV6 News, Calumet.